Look, I need to tell someone about this whole mess because apparently I'm the only one who sees how completely insane this situation got. I'm Samantha, I'm 28, and until recently I was dating Cooper for 3 years. 3 years of dealing with his obsessive need to control every tiny detail of his life, from his color-coded work calendar to the way he arranges his coffee mugs by size. Cooper works at some finance company doing data analysis or whatever, basically staring at numbers all day like it's the most important thing in the world. The man treats his spreadsheets like they're sacred texts. Everything has to be perfect, organized, documented. He even keeps receipts for coffee purchases in little labeled folders. It's exhausting being around someone who sucks all the spontaneity out of life. So yeah, I like to shake things up sometimes. Sue me for trying to bring some actual fun into our relationship. My pranks aren't even that bad. I'm talking harmless stuff that gets people laughing. Like when I convinced his uptight coworkers that he was secretly writing romance novels. Or when I switched all his serious business contacts to silly ringtones. Pure comedy gold. But does Cooper appreciate my creative genius? Of course not. He always gets this pinched look on his face and starts lecturing me about appropriate behavior and professional boundaries. The guy seriously needs to learn how to live a little. We're in our 20s and 30s, not 90. Life's supposed to be fun, right? But Cooper acts like every day is some kind of military operation that requires strategic planning and risk assessment. I swear he probably has backup plans for his backup plans. Living together in his condo has been like sharing space with the world's most anal roommate. Everything has its place, everything has a schedule, everything has a reason. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to enjoy my life, and maybe help him discover that chaos isn't actually the end of the world. My job in customer service is stressful enough without coming home to someone who wants to discuss our monthly budget allocation over dinner. But here's where things get interesting. I'd been planning this absolutely perfect prank for weeks, something that would finally get Cooper to see how ridiculous he is about his precious routine. The plan was simple and brilliant. Report his car stolen while he's at work, let him panic for a few minutes, then reveal it was all a joke. Harmless, right? Just a little wake-up call about not taking life so seriously. So that Tuesday morning, I waited until Cooper left for his boring job in his perfectly maintained sedan. The guy probably has a maintenance schedule for that car too, knowing him. Around 10:15, I called the police and put on my most concerned girlfriend voice. "Hi, I need to report a stolen vehicle. My boyfriend's car is missing from our parking lot, and I'm really worried something happened to him." The whole thing was actually pretty easy. I gave them Cooper's name, described the car, told them where he worked. The officer was so nice and professional, taking down all the information. I almost felt bad for wasting their time, but come on, it's not like there was any real crime happening. Just a girlfriend trying to teach her uptight boyfriend a lesson about loosening up. I spent the rest of the morning imagining Cooper's face when the cops showed up at his fancy finance office. Picture it, Mr. Serious Business getting interrupted during one of his precious spreadsheet sessions by actual police officers. His coworkers would probably think it was the most excitement their boring workplace had seen in years. I was practically giggling, thinking about how flustered he'd get, how he'd stumble over his words trying to explain everything. Around 2:30, I couldn't contain my excitement anymore, so I texted him. "Did the cops really show up at your work?" "Babe, it was just a prank. Your face must have been priceless. Tell me everything. Don't be mad. I bet August almost had a heart attack. So epic." But instead of the laughing response I expected, all I got back was "good one." That was it. 2 words. No exclamation points, no "you got me," no appreciation for my creative brilliance. Just "good one," like he was commenting on the weather. I should have known something was off right then. But I figured he was probably just embarrassed about getting pranked so perfectly in front of his stuffy coworkers. When I got home that evening, Cooper was already there, which was weird because he usually stays late organizing his desk or whatever. He was sitting on the couch with this strange, calm expression, like he'd just figured out the solution to some complicated equation. Not angry, not amused, just calculating. So, I said, dropping my purse and waiting for him to finally admit how good my prank was. How did it go with the police? Was August completely freaking out? Cooper looked at me with those steady eyes that used to make me feel special, but lately just made me feel judged. It was educational, he said. Very educational. That night felt different somehow. Cooper was being too normal, too polite. Usually, after one of my pranks, he'd give me at least a little lecture about boundaries or whatever, but this time he just went about his evening routine like nothing had happened. Made dinner, watched the news, went to bed at exactly 10:30, like always. It was almost disappointing how little reaction I got. The next morning started like any other day. Cooper left for work at his usual time, kissed me goodbye like always, told me to have a good day. I was starting to think maybe my prank had actually worked, maybe he'd finally learned to roll with the punches instead of making everything into a federal case. But then around noon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Samantha Vance? Yeah. Who's this? This is Detective Renee with the police department. We need to speak with you about some stolen property. Specifically, a jewelry set worth approximately $30,000 that was reported missing from Cooper Kingsley's residence. My brain just stopped working for a second. Stolen property? $30,000? Cooper's residence? I'm sorry, what? There must be some mistake. I live with Cooper. Nothing's been stolen. Ma'am, we have a report filed yesterday evening regarding a custom sapphire and diamond jewelry set. The complainant states these items were taken without permission. We need you to come down to the station for questioning. That's when it hit me. The Cascade set. My beautiful, gorgeous Cascade set that Cooper had custom made for me last year. The necklace I wore to every nice event, the earrings that made me feel like a queen, the bracelet that caught light like liquid starlight. He was talking about my jewelry, the jewelry he'd given me as gifts. Those are mine, I said, my voice getting higher. He gave them to me. They're gifts. That's what we need to discuss, ma'am. Can you come in this afternoon? After I hung up, I immediately called Cooper, straight to voicemail, called again, voicemail. Texted him, what did you do? The police called me, a detective. They're saying I stole the Cascade set. Are you insane? This isn't funny. This is my jewelry. You gave it to me. Call me. You have to call them back and tell them it was a prank. Now. But Cooper didn't call back. Instead, I got a text. Was it a prank? Seemed pretty serious, like reporting my car stolen. That was a serious prank too. We're just a couple of pranksters, you and I. The absolute nerve of this man. Taking my harmless little joke and turning it into some kind of criminal investigation. I mean, sure, maybe I shouldn't have involved the actual police, but it wasn't like anyone got hurt. Meanwhile, he's trying to have me arrested over jewelry that he literally put around my neck himself. I spent the whole afternoon pacing around the condo, getting more and more worked up. How dare he do this to me? After 3 years together, after everything I'd put up with, his obsessive scheduling, his boring friends, his complete inability to have fun, this is how he repays me? By trying to destroy my life over a simple prank? By evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to go down there and face him, make him see how completely insane he was being. But when I got to the condo, my key didn't work. He'd changed the locks on what was basically our home without even telling me. I pounded on the door until my fists hurt. Cooper, open this door right now. You can't lock me out of my own home. His voice came through the door, calm as ever. The locks are changed. You don't live here anymore, Samantha. Your things are in the guest room. We can arrange a time for you to get them with a police escort if you'd like, since we're both so fond of involving them in our relationship. A police escort, like I was some kind of criminal. I'm not talking about my clothes, Cooper. I'm talking about the detective. He wants me to come to the station. He said I'm in possession of stolen property. You have to call him. Tell him it's a joke. Tell him you were just mad. But I'm not mad, Samantha, and it's not a joke. You wanted to play games with real consequences. This is it. You filed a false report. I filed a property dispute. Let's see whose prank the police take more seriously. The way he said it, so calm and matter-of-fact, like he was explaining some boring work procedure. This wasn't the Cooper I knew. The Cooper I knew would never be this cold, this calculating. He'd always been intense about his work and his routines, but this was different. This was strategic. "I'll sue you," I screamed through the door. "I'll tell everyone you're completely unhinged. You're being abusive." "Good luck with that. You're trespassing, Samantha. Please leave before I call the police. And this time, it won't be a prank." I wanted to keep fighting, keep pounding on that door until he came to his senses, but something in his voice told me he wasn't bluffing, so I left. But this wasn't over. Not even close. The next evening, I came back with reinforcements. My dad, Dominic, has always been good in a crisis, and he was absolutely furious when I told him what Cooper was doing. Dad's a property developer, the kind of man who gets things done through sheer force of personality. He was wearing one of his expensive suits and had that look on his face that meant someone was about to get steamrolled. "Cooper." Dad's voice boomed through the intercom. "Open this door now. We're going to have a talk. Man to man." "I don't think so, Dominic. We have nothing to talk about. Please leave my property." "Don't be a fool, son. You're in over your head. You filed a false police report against my daughter. That's a crime. You're going to call that detective? Retract your statement and apologize to Samantha, or I will personally see to it that you are in a world of legal and professional trouble you can't even begin to imagine." But Cooper didn't back down like he was supposed to. Instead, his voice came back through the intercom, still maddeningly calm. "That sounds like a threat, Dominic. Your daughter admits to filing a false police report first, a prank that got me hauled out of my office like a criminal. That's fine with you. But when I file a report about $30,000 of my property, that's harassment. My report isn't false. The items were purchased by me, insured by me, and are missing from my home. I suspect she took them. That's not a false report. That's a factual one." Dad's face went purple. I'd never seen him so angry. "You'll regret this, boy. You have no idea who you're messing with. This isn't over." But it was over, at least for that night. We left, and Dad was muttering about lawyers and consequences the whole way to the car. "Don't worry, sweetheart," he told me. "I'll handle this. He wants to play hardball, I'll show him hardball." The next morning, I got a call from Cooper's work. They wanted to meet with him about some concerning phone call they'd received. I felt a little surge of satisfaction. Dad had followed through on his threat. Maybe now Cooper would understand that he couldn't just mess with my family and expect no consequences. But when Cooper called me that afternoon, he didn't sound worried or apologetic. He sounded almost amused. "Your father called my boss," he said. "Tried to get me fired by claiming I was stalking you and filing fraudulent police reports." "Good," I snapped. "Maybe now you'll stop this ridiculous game." "Here's the thing, Samantha. My boss was there when the police showed up about the car. He saw me get walked out of the office like a criminal because of your harmless prank. So when your father called to threaten my job over a domestic dispute, it didn't go the way you probably hoped." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "I mean, they're documenting your father's call as harassment against an employee. If he calls again, he'll be speaking to their legal counsel. They're not impressed with your family's intimidation tactics." Everything was falling apart. This was supposed to be simple, a funny prank that would help Cooper lighten up, maybe bring us closer together. Instead, it had turned into this nightmare of police reports and lawyers and threats. And Cooper, the man I'd been with for 3 years, was treating me like some kind of enemy. That's when the lawsuit papers showed up. Dominic had found some lawyer friend who was willing to sue Cooper for defamation, emotional distress, and conversion, basically claiming he'd stolen my stuff by locking me out of the condo. Finally, someone was taking this seriously. But Cooper hired his own lawyer, some woman named Brody, who looked like she ate people like me for breakfast. The whole thing dragged on for weeks, costing me money I didn't have and stress I didn't need. Every day felt like another battle. Another humiliation. The worst part was how Cooper had completely changed. The man I'd been with for 3 years, who used to worry about hurting my feelings if he disagreed with me about what to watch on Netflix, had turned into this cold, strategic opponent who seemed to be 3 steps ahead of every move I made. Finally, Detective Renee called us all in for a meeting. Me, my lawyer, Cooper, his lawyer, all sitting in this sterile conference room like we were negotiating some corporate merger instead of talking about a relationship that had completely imploded. I've been a cop for 20 years, Detective Renee said, dropping 2 files on the table. This is the single most ridiculous set of reports I've ever had on my desk. On one hand, we have Miss Vance, who admitted in text messages to filing a verifiably false police report as a prank. That is a misdemeanor. On the other hand, we have Mr. Kingsley, who filed a report for $30,000 felony theft that looks retaliatory. My lawyer jumped in. My client's items were unequivocal gifts. His report is fraudulent. Cooper's lawyer fired back. The items were purchased by my client and insured on his policy. He is the legal owner until a civil court proves otherwise. And your client committed the first offense, a dangerous one, that could have led to his arrest. Detective Renee held up her hand. I don't care who started it. Here's the reality. I can send both reports to the district attorney. You can both be charged, spend tens of thousands on criminal defense, and likely end up with records. Or you can act like adults and make this go away. That's when my lawyer made what he thought was a generous offer. I would drop my civil suit if Cooper immediately retracted his theft report and paid me $10,000 for emotional distress and legal fees. Cooper's lawyer just smiled this cold little smile. Here's our offer. It is the only offer. My client will drop the felony theft complaint. You will drop the frivolous civil suit, and Ms. Vance will return the Cascade set. All of it. Today. Right now. In this room. No, I said, my voice cracking. He can't. They're mine. But Detective Renee was looking at me with this expression that made my skin crawl. His case against you is clean. You admitted to the false report. His report is a messy civil dispute, but yours is a gift-wrapped criminal conviction for the district attorney. You need to decide. Is this jewelry worth a criminal record? The silence in that room was deafening. My lawyer was staring at me. Cooper's lawyer was staring at me. Detective Renee was staring at me. Even Cooper was staring at me, but not with anger or satisfaction, just with this empty, tired look like he was watching something sad happen to someone he used to care about. Give him the jewelry, my lawyer finally whispered, and that's when I completely lost it. Not a pretty cry, the ugly kind with snot and hiccups and gasping sobs. I hate you, I screamed at Cooper. I hate you so much. But Detective Renee wasn't having any of my breakdown. Give him the jewelry, Miss Vance. With shaking hands, I dug the earrings and bracelet out of my purse and threw them on the table. But I was wearing the necklace. My beautiful, perfect necklace that made me feel special and important and loved. The necklace that had been the centerpiece of every nice outfit I'd worn for the past year. The necklace too, Detective Renee said flatly. I couldn't even work the clasp, my hands were shaking so hard. My own lawyer had to reach over and unclasp the $20,000 sapphire necklace from my throat. The humiliation was complete, sitting in a police station, crying like a child, while my own legal representation stripped my jewelry off my body because I'd been cornered. Cooper slowly, calmly scooped the complete set into a velvet bag he'd brought. He didn't look triumphant or satisfied. He just looked done. As far as I'm concerned, my property has been returned. He said, I will not be pursuing the theft charge. My lawyer, looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor, mumbled that we were dropping the civil suit, and I offered my apologies for the misunderstanding with the car. That was 3 months ago. 3 months since my life completely fell apart over what was supposed to be a harmless prank. Cooper sold the jewelry set immediately. Probably got way less than what he paid for it, but I guess he just wanted it gone. The money went toward his legal fees, and whatever was left probably went into his precious investment account. I'm living in a studio apartment now, paying rent I can barely afford while dealing with my own legal bills. My customer service job barely covers my expenses, and every day feels like a reminder of how much I've lost. Meanwhile, Cooper is still living in his perfect condo with his perfect routine, probably dating someone new by now. Someone who appreciates his stability instead of trying to shake things up. The thing that gets me the most is how everyone acts like he was the victim in all this. Like my harmless prank was somehow worse than him trying to have me arrested over jewelry he'd given me as gifts. Sure, maybe I shouldn't have involved the police, but it wasn't like anyone got seriously hurt. It was supposed to be funny, but Cooper couldn't just laugh it off like a normal person. He had to turn it into this whole legal nightmare that destroyed our relationship and cost us both thousands of dollars. He had to be strategic about it, calculating, like he was solving one of his precious spreadsheet problems instead of dealing with someone he supposedly loved. Look, maybe I made some mistakes, maybe the prank went too far, but at least I was trying to bring some life into our relationship instead of just accepting the boring, predictable routine we'd fallen into. At least I was trying to have some fun instead of treating every day like a business transaction. Cooper got his revenge, his precious jewelry back, and his orderly life restored. He got to be the wronged party, the victim, the one everyone feels sorry for. Meanwhile, I'm the one who lost everything: my home, my relationship, my financial security, even my jewelry, all because I tried to shake up a man who was too rigid to appreciate what he had. So yeah, maybe you think I deserved what happened. Maybe you think Cooper was justified in everything he did. But just remember, all I wanted was to have a little fun with someone I cared about, and he turned that into a war that nobody really won.